Come to order. This is Monday, April the 18th, 2022. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And there's a little confusion I want to clarify. We've got a consideration agenda for the Sheriff's Office with regard to the daily rate at the jail that we will take up after the workshop. And so those of you that are here on that, I'm putting you on notice that we're going to do that last. But what we do have is a workshop. We have a workshop that had the first part this morning and the second part this afternoon at 1 o'clock. To look at new communication systems for the Sheriff's Office and the volunteer fire departments. So that's what we have on the agenda. And what I was going to do is ask the Sheriff, you could just kind of set the stage for us, give us the lay of the land of where we are and what's needed.
Yes, sir. Okay, appreciate y'all coming today for this. So basically what it is, our radio system, our radio infrastructure is kind of outdated, is where we're at. So we're looking at getting something new for today's technology. So basically we're looking at two systems, which one's LCRA, one's Motorola. As you know, the city's moved forward with LCRA. We're looking at both companies to see what's best for the county. I've kind of learned a lot in this process. So basically what it is our stuff is kind of outdated. And this is not, a lot of people say Sheriff's Office radio system. This is a county-wide radio infrastructure system that is for not only us, but we just happen to oversee it. It's for the volunteer fire department, also DPS, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and the city police department, which currently use our system at times. But basically, that's kind of where we're at today. Is our system. You know, I've been told like our portables can't even be repaired anymore. You know, pretty much when they go out, we just throw them away. I mean, they're way past their shelf life. I've heard you replace them every 6 to 7 years. Where my understanding, some of our stuff's 15 to 20 years old. And then like our towers, you know, it's pretty much to a point where they just need to be upgraded or replaced. So that's what brings us here today. And we're looking at two different systems, which, Judge, obviously we've learned a lot in the last couple of months.
I've heard more than I ever wanted to know.
Correct, I didn't.
But, and just to clarify that whatever we do here, we're going to have to write a request for proposal.
Yes, sir.
This has to go through grant works and open bidding. So what we're doing here today, not so much is, we're interested in the cost, don't get me wrong, we're looking at the cost, but at the same time, we do have a process that we have to go through. And so that the public is aware, and I don't know, are we on YouTube?
I was told we were.
Okay, that's good. I just ask to make sure what we're doing, because then I make sure the public understands that this system that we're contemplating would be paid for with the American Rescue Plan funds. And we have a public meeting. We passed a unanimous agreement to have a public meeting before we obligate those funds, but this is the beginning of that process, so that everyone knows exactly where we are with regard to not only the ARPA funds, but where we are with regard to KCSO and BFB communication systems. So,
Yes,
with that, we want to invite LCRA. Welcome. We have a number of people. I'd kind of like to get everybody introduced so the public knows who we've got here today. There goes Steve. I know you need to go up first.
Thank you,
And
Judge.
we need you at the podium. We're on YouTube. There's a camera and a microphone there, and it works best if you do it that way.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Steve Dyer, live in San Saba County, but thanks to my boss, Kerr County is part of my territory. So I'm here this morning. Mainly my job is to introduce the experts. Beck and I were talking about it earlier. This is a very complicated subject. Communications is something that...
And so that the public knows, Steve and I have gotten to be very good friends over the past 4 years. He is the LCRA representative. We interface on a number of things. We've attended a lot of their seminars. And we have a very good ongoing working relationship with the Lower Colorado River Authority.
And as you all know, I hope, LCRA has been in Kerr County many, many years, generations. Even the distribution system for electricity here, before it became KPUB, was LCRA folks. And we're here for the longest pull that you can imagine. This radio opportunity is just one more example of when there's a need in the county, in the LCRA area, whether it's San Saba where I live or Kerr or y'all, that we're here to offer to you what we have.
And we've been partners with y'all all the way back to LBJ and Samway.
30s.
Back that far.
The 1930s.
Yeah.
That's even before Alan Coonsey. Anyway, I'll do a quick introduction so we can get to a workshop. A workshop is necessary when the subject matter is complicated. And here today we have experts in communication, telecom for LCRA we call it. We have Eric Anderson there. Oh, Blanca, I should have introduced you first. Blanca is part of the territory support, Alan Coonsey and Brian Noss. And I didn't leave him till last, but we're very proud that the governor of our state appoints a director for Kerr County to sit on the LCRA board. And Mike Allen is here this morning. Thank you, Mike, for supporting us in our efforts to support Kerr County. With that, I'm going to turn it to Eric.
Thank you. Sir, is it possible to put a presentation on? Is it possible to put a presentation? I do have a flash drive if you'd like. It's a PowerPoint? It is.
And yes, you may. You got handouts, I know. But when you go to the podium, if you would, introduce yourselves so the public knows who's speaking.
What county do you want first? It's got Kerr County 0417. Right. Yes, sir. I have some for you as well. Malcolm, can you make sure that others have them?
You want this shown on the YouTube channel as well?
I'm happy to have it shown. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine. My name is Eric Anderson, and I'm with the Lower Colorado River Authority. Thank you for the opportunity, Judge Kelly and the commissioners, to speak with you today. I'm going to give you a quick run through of what we're going to talk about today and share with you our plan for radio communications for the region. I'll talk, if you go to the next slide, please.
Pretty courthouse.
I don't hear that often.
There's also a PDF in there if that would work. We can do that as well.
Sure, it's not moving.
There you go. So I'm going to cover the goals we spoke about and the sheriff mentioned earlier. Talk briefly about Kerr County and LCRA. Talk a little bit about our telecom solutions that we provide to our regional partners, such as Kerr County, and then talk about specifically the radio system from a technical overview and a commercial overview. And then at any time, please feel free to ask questions. Next slide, please. So we've been spending a lot of time learning about the region and your needs, and spent a lot of time visiting the towers and equipment and your dispatch center. We agreed that definitely an outdated VHF system. I'm on slide 2 now. Limited number of channels for communication and limited ability to interoperate with other neighboring agencies. And we've heard the goals are improved reliability and resilience for the system, better customer service, predictable costs. We'd like to see all county entities on one system, and interoperability with City Kerrville and neighboring agencies like Kendall County and Bernie and Gillespie County, and to go live in the year 2023. Those are the goals we've heard. Next slide, please. The DPS, the Texas Department of Public Safety, publishes an interoperability report. This one is from August of last year, and it ranked Kerr County as level 3 in terms of interoperability And we'd like to take Kerr County to level 5, where there's greater interoperability, greater opportunity for mutual aid. And that's through the system that we've designed and we're presenting to you today to get you to that level of interoperability. And we serve many, many agencies in the region, which I'll go into in a little bit. So just a quick reminder on the next slide, we have LCRA's mission. Our mission is community service. This team that's here today is part of the community services team. And we have a water team, we have an electric team, we have a transmission team, community services team, and we're all about delivering service to our communities in the region. And everything we do is built around that. We're a not-for-profit organization, and we're here to serve our fellow Texans. So on the next slide, just a quick run through of what LCRA does. Obviously, we care for the Colorado River. That means flood control. That means water supply. That means electric generation and transmission in the region, and community services. And so we're all part of that community services group. That's broadband, that's radio, and that's our park system. So that's the team that we're a part of. On the next slide, as Steve noted, we're local. We have a tremendous history here in Kerr County. So we have our Community Development Grant Program, which has delivered nearly $1 million in grants in Kerr County. We are operate a very large electric transmission system in the region, and obviously pay property tax on that system. We have broadband and radio in the region, and as noted, Director Allen is here today. You have a voting seat on our board of directors and a strong voice at LCRA. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk quickly about our telecom systems that we provide. Radio is not a hobby. It's not an extra at LCRA. It's really an integrated part of what we do and who we serve. And we're serving over 150 agencies. That's volunteer fire departments, police, sheriff, utilities, water systems we're providing over the region. So over 150 customers today, tens of thousands of radios. And so part of that, if you go to the next slide, the transmission system, that's kind of the backbone for a lot of what we do, because the electric transmission system has fiber optic cable running along it. So you can see a zoom in here of Kerr County, and you can see our transmission poles that you may see as you're traveling through the region. And noting that, wow, there's a fiber optic cable on top of all those transmission lines, which allows us to communicate with not only our own operations, but with other folks in the region. And so that high-speed, high-capacity transport network we have helps us deliver power reliably and safely, but also enable economic development. And so what we did, the governor authorized us in the legislature, in the next slide, in the 87th session that wrapped last summer, we are now authorized to deliver broadband, middle mile broadband. And so we're in the process now of delivering broadband to Kerr County and agencies all over the region. So as you think about your broadband strategy for the county, please count us in as a partner, because we have these lines of fiber optic cable throughout the region that we leverage in our radio system, but we can also provide 1, 10, and 100 gigabit service to internet service providers in the area. So that we ride those rails, so to speak, in terms of the connections. And so right now we're in the process of getting the easements clear and the networking gear in place and the physical connections to internet service providers. So if you go to the next slide, I'll talk about our 2 radio networks. So we offer a 900 megahertz network and a 700 megahertz network. And the 900 megahertz network is where we started. It helps us run the transmission system. It helps us operate our flood control system on the Colorado River. And then we leverage it because the FCC and the state of Texas allow us to share our radio system and share those assets as a nonprofit shared service provider for the region. And so you can see there's a tremendous number of counties that we serve through this radio network beyond here. So Bandera Electric, Pedernales Electric, all of LCRA, many schools, and transit agencies are using our radio network. And so this has been around for more than 25 years, extremely reliable and resilient, and that was, whether it's been a hurricane, the tornadoes a couple of weeks ago, Winter Storm Uri, we've had a tremendously resilient and outstanding radio system. If you go to the next slide, I'll just give you an example of how we do voice on our radio system, but also data. So we have over 275 gauges on the rivers, none here in Kerr County, but we're welcome to talk with Upper Guadalupe River Authority about that to show that we have a very complex radio, it's organized by the radio system and fed by the radio system, where we're taking 5-minute data on over 275 streams and rivers in the region so that we prevent damage to people and property downstream when we manage all the dams and flood control systems for the entire Colorado Basin. And the Blanco River also, we have some gauges on that as well. So that's a really essential part of our radio system. It has to be up, it has to be there for protecting life and property. And then in the next slide, we go into our 700 megahertz system, which is the emphasis for today. And that we were really asked by DPS to create a 700 megahertz system because they saw the effectiveness and the reliability of our 900 system. And they said, after one of the big hurricanes, they said, we need to create an evacuation corridor along I-10, along 290, along 71 to get people away from the coast and inland when there were big storms coming in. And so they offered us the spectrum and the frequencies and some funding to build the 700 megahertz radio network. And that spectrum that's reserved for first responders. So that's sheriff, police, fire, emergency medical, and so on. So that system we now run, and you can see our footprint in Central Texas today. And then on the next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Blanca, and she's going to talk through before we jump into the technical side. Any questions on this so far?
I think we're with you so far.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Blanca Garcia. I am the account manager at LCRA. Currently, I serve the city of Kerrville, so I'm working with them to bring them on the system and get their stuff up and running and their towers. I also am the account manager for one of your surrounding counties, your neighbor, Kendall County. So I work with all of them as well as Bernie, and I've been working with y'all as well, and it's been great to get to know y'all, and thank y'all so much for having us today. I'm here to talk a little bit more about LCRA and our telecom, specifically what we do. I'm sure the SOs can talk to y'all about the language of telecom and radios and how different it is and how difficult it might be to understand the terminology and understand what needs to be done and how to get things done in a timely manner. And that is where LCRA comes in. So for us, we are here for y'all. We don't want anything to be wrong with your system. We don't want your radios to go down. We want to be a one-stop shop for y'all. We don't want this to be a stressful situation where you don't know who to call. Being a member of our system, all you have to do is call one person, and that would be us. LCRA prides itself in being a one-stop shop, like I said. So we have radio technicians that are experts in this matter who will know your system like the back of their hand. We have engineers as well who design the system and make sure that what we are telling you is what you're getting. In addition to this, we also have a radio shop who takes care of your radios in case a radio is broken or it gets dropped, which happens more times than not. Something isn't working, it's not transmitting. We take care of it. Our technicians will fix it, our technicians will tell you what's wrong with it, and we can figure out the best solution for you going forward. In addition to this, we also have a telecommunications control center that is full of technicians who are experts in this and who more times than not will know when something's wrong with your system before you even know it. So it's a really interesting room. I went in there a week or two ago, and it's literally just screens of everything that's on our system. It looked like a movie pretty much. So that is all for y'all. That wouldn't be anything that extra cost or anything. That comes with the LCRA package. Can you go to the next slide, please? This slide talks a little bit more about our technicians and us being a one-stop shop. Like I said, we have a radio shop full of technicians who know your radios like the back of their hand. They do everything for y'all, and it is just one phone call away. So that being said, we pride ourselves in helping y'all. We don't want y'all to fail. We don't want the radio system to go down. We don't want you to have officers without radios. We want y'all to succeed, and we want everybody to be safe. And along with that comes the fact that knowing your radios and knowing the radio system is it's a big thing. It's a big job. It takes a lot from your personnel, and that means you have less people taking care of your citizens. And that's where we come in. We want to make sure that y'all can just focus on what y'all are supposed to be focusing on, which is your citizens, and let us take care of the radios and that language and that lingo, and our technicians. We take care of all of that. We want to take a stressor off of y'all. That being said, our engineers and our technicians have come up with a strategy, which, will you go to the next slide, please? Which is what we recommend. It's what we've looked at all the data. We've talked to you all multiple times. We know what your troubles are, what you've been struggling with over the years, and what you can do better. And this is what we've come up with. Can you go to the next slide? So what we are proposing is a six-site proposal, which includes 3 5-channel and 3 6-channel sites. These sites will come equipped with everything we need for the system to run. In addition to this, we are also proposing a new dispatch center with 4 new Zetron consoles. You currently have Zetrons. As the sheriff mentioned, they are outdated. They have to be replaced. So this would be 4 new Zetron consoles in your dispatch. We are also proposing to remove all the old VHF equipment from the sites, because you won't need that really anymore. And we'd be putting on our new equipment for a 700-800 system. This also includes a call recording software, which y'all currently use. I believe you use Eventide. I might be wrong on that, but we'd be going on to Higher Ground or an Exacom. And then we will also be taking care of your frequencies. So the frequency acquiring process is a very long process, and a lot of paperwork. It's really long. So our engineers, they focus on all of that. They take care of it. That lingo, if you want to know more, please ask our engineer. I don't know what goes into it, but acquiring frequencies, we take care of it in your name. So they will not be LCRAs, they are Kerr County's frequencies. And we'll talk more about...
Quick question. Can we go on the previous slide, 6 new P25 Phase 2 radio sites. Are those towers? Is that what that means?
They will be towers, so they're new sites. So the towers are existing. They'd be, you'd be jumping on a tower that's already there. We will not be building towers if we don't have to. So they will be towers. So it'd be 6 towers. 2 of the towers are already LCRA existing sites, and you'll see them in the slides to come.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to this, we also know that, like the sheriff said, your radios are outdated. They are end of life. They need to be replaced. If you could go to the next slide, please. And for that, we are proposing Motorola radios. We've listened to y'all. We've heard Motorola are great radios. They do get the job done perfectly fine. So we are proposing 149 new Motorola Apex 8500 mobiles. I know the sheriff has already started purchasing some of those, so I'm sure this fits perfectly with the ones they have currently. It'd be the same specs, as long as they have some specific things, but we've already talked about that, and y'all are good. And then we also have proposing 106 new portables. That is to replace the obsolete portables that you currently have, and that's for the whole county. These a major thing to come off of this is purchasing these radios. We include everything. So it wouldn't be y'all going online or anything and purchasing a radio, trying to figure out the shipping costs, the taxes, programming, any of that. That gets taken care of. As long as y'all say yes, we take care of it. So we place the order, we include the shipping, we include the programming, we include getting the MOUs with the surrounding counties, we include literally everything from start to finish. We will show up and we will hand you a radio that works. You turn it on and you're ready to go. No need to configure it any further. It's yours. Along with this, radios. While y'all already have Motorola radios and you know how to use them, we do want to do on-site training for y'all so that we make sure that everybody knows exactly what they're getting and how to use it. So we included 5 days of on-site training, as well as we will teach a trainer. So y'all will assign somebody that will be your contact for training everybody else. So we will take care of that so that you have a matter expert on site at all times. Along with this, we were able to secure also these radios come with 5-year warranty, which is great. Radios get dropped a lot. Radios get run over, radios die. So having a 5-year warranty, the radio gets replaced, it gets fixed, and it's no downtime. So that being said, we'll get into the specifics, which is the funnest part of this all, and it's the technical stuff that our engineer can take care of, and that's Brian.
This is where you buckle up.
Yeah. Thank you, Blanca. This, I know, is probably too early to fall asleep, I hope. My name is Brian Noss. I'm the senior engineer with LCRA, and I manage the design of the radio system network with my team. Can do the next slide, please. So from an overview of the architecture of our system, the top right, 2 clouds there, LCRA radio system cores. We have 2 cores which every radio site connects to. These 2 cores are geographically separated by several miles. In case one goes down, the other one instantly picks up and handles all the traffic. And we test these failovers on a regular basis to make sure they're clean and seamless. And then to come out from there for Kerr County, there are the red sites are the new sites that we're proposing, and we're basically just illustrating how they would be connected to our core. The bottom 3, we have arrangements with AT&T for a private network. It's not the internet. It's completely separated and secure from that traffic. And AT&T ties into both of our cores. The sites on the upper left there would tie into LCRA's already existing fiber network that has ring protection, which means if a path one direction fails, we have a secondary path that it immediately traverses to reach our cores. And then for dispatch, we show the Z-Tron consoles. Those are basically mobile radio units that communicate to the tower sites to reach the core or other radio users on those sites. There will be 5 tower leases at Granada, Mountain Home, Branch, Hunt, and Camp Verde. And you can note that Granada, Mason Creek are already LCRA locations where we have radio equipment for our 900 megahertz.
Which one releases?
Granada, Mountain Home, which the county is already utilizing that tower. Branch, which I'll show you. You can see I'm in the coverage maps where that's located, but it's west. Hunt, which is where Hunt BFD has their VHF currently, and Camp Verde, that's an American Tower site that would cover the southeast portion of the county. And then 3 lease lines, as I showed, that's AT&T, you pay a monthly lease to use their network. And every site has a cellular modem card for additional backup, as that's a third path to reach our core. Feel free to pause me if you have any questions.
Where is the branch location?
Branch, geographically,
Yes.
it's the southwest corner of the county, right on the county line,
Okay.
in Kerr County. I have coverage maps that you can really see it clearly.
At these towers, you have generators,
Yes, sir. Generators,
each tower?
every one. UPS, that keeps the power going while the generator spools up. We regularly, weekly, do a cycle test on the generators. Every site has monitoring for environmentals, temperature, door intrusion, power outages that feed back to the TOC, so they instantly know when there's an issue at the site and will dispatch a technician as required. Yeah, any?
How much lapse time do you have before the generator comes on?
Oh, minutes. As soon as the power goes out, it's seconds. We've got the transfer switch starts spooling up the generator. All right, next slide. Now, to start speaking about coverage, two key elements that define coverage, the reliability and the digital audio quality. In this table here, there's ways of definitions of how they define DAQ, digital audio quality. 3.4 is the common industry standard for public safety, which speech is understandable without repetition, some noise or distortion is present. And within the depicted coverage on the map, you will receive a DAQ of 3.4 95% of the time. So when they say the coverage is 95%, generically that just means that 95% of the time you will have a digital audio quality of 3.4. Now, if we show an area that doesn't show any coverage, that doesn't mean that there's nothing. It just doesn't meet 3.4 audio quality. It might be less all the way down to nothing, but we design to a digital audio quality of 3.4. And we can go to the next slide. This is showing our current coverage and coverage that we are building out towards. So you can see in the east, we have a site in Comfort at our substation. That's different than the county's VHF location. But we already have 700 P25 there. We also already have a site in Fredericksburg. As you know, we're building out the Smoky Mountain location for Kerrville. And Gillespie County, we're working with BFD there in Sierra Linda to provide better coverage for them. The coverage colors, I showed green is mobile only. Blue, you can use a handheld, and the pink, indoor coverage. Now, indoor does not mean down in your basement in your bunker indoor. You can't predict that without knowing the building materials and makeup of the facility. But a typical indoor through the exterior walls of a structure, you should be able to receive coverage.
And one of the things that I learned is mobile means phone in your pocket. Portable
Yes.
means,
I used to work in cellular, and I get that in my head mixed up too. Mobile is in the vehicle.
okay. And then portable is on your hip.
Portable is on the head. Yes, sir. Yeah, the mobile radios in the car and the vehicles are higher power. They have a higher gain, slightly higher gain antenna, so they can reach the outer levels of the coverage area.
Like your old bag phone.
Yes.
But we're talking about 106 portables and then 149 mobiles, is that right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay, next slide is our proposed site build out. In the cyan or the light blue colored sites would be the new tower locations where we would be dropping in a 10 by 10 shelter, generator, backup power, and installing antennas on the tower to provide this coverage. The bottom left, I have some statistics for the percentage of Kerr County in the area that gets covered. Again, coverage meaning you'll be able to make a call 95% of the time where we show coverage with a digital audio quality of 3.4.
Now, as you demonstrate what happens in Kerr County, a large part of this is communications with other counties.
Yes.
And we had a presentation the other day that this is supposed to reach all of the state, right? So what I'm seeing here outside of Kerr County is not as strong. So are we going to really be in communication with everybody that we need to be? And tell me how that works.
Sure.
Being as the map doesn't seem to show that.
Right. The map is showing 700 megahertz. When we need to communicate with other entities that are not on our system, that's called a conventional interface. The way that that's going to be accomplished for Kerr County is the use of the Zetron console. The Zetron console has 12, and right now we have 12 count, of VHF radios that would be located at dispatch, connected to antennas that would reach the surrounding counties or whomever you need to have an interface with on VHF. The Zetron console takes that radio path from VHF and patches it over to our 700 megahertz radio that's on the console and rebroadcasts it or receives it, it's two directions, over to 700.
So does that give us a new fail point that doesn't exist now?
It's what you,
That switch becomes necessary, in other words. That it does not have, we don't need now.
right now, if your mobiles or portables go to another county, you have to change frequencies on the radio, right?
Right. So you have the operator in control versus you have a computer in control the way you're talking about. So that, in my mind, just becomes a new fail point.
It's a different fail point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I trust the people in the cars more than I trust the computer at the shack.
They can still do that with the console, but the console is very reliable in taking care of those patches.
I work with equipment every day. So how it goes out when it's not supposed to.
Sure.
So everything is a fail point.
Yep.
Every time you change to a new piece of equipment, you insert a new fail point.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
So is that the only one, or is there another surprise in it? So this is a converter, basically, so everybody understands.
Yeah, it's a bridge.
You already have these people out here with VHF,
Mhm.
which we have to communicate with. You're talking about putting another piece of equipment at each tower, so we can cover the whole county, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm
that
sorry.
introduces new equipment that we don't have right now and don't even need right now, unless the system is completely changed out.
Are you asking? Sorry, are you asking the new equipment being a VHF interface?
No, your
Oh, okay, all
the
right.
equipment you're proposing
Yes.
here, that new piece you just mentioned would then be required, which isn't now.
Yes.
So is there anything else besides that?
No.
Okay.
Another point about the coverage, last week we set up our portable trailer, which is a site on a trailer we call it the ECU. We use it to deploy in areas where we need specific coverage for disaster recovery or special events. But in this case, we set it up at the Granada location and handed out portables for folks that ride around and give it a try.
ECU stands for what? Emergency
communications unit.
And that's portable.
It's a trailer, it's got a radio site in it, a crank-up tower, a generator, and fuel. It's a diesel. And transport back to our core through cell modem, or we can, if we have a microwave path, we can put that up as well. But in this case, yeah, we used it just to show people firsthand the kind of coverage. Now, it was a much lower height and a lower gain antenna, so it wasn't as large of a footprint as the full site would be. But we also use it to collect drive data, signal strength measurements, and GPS points that can feed into the software model that does the coverage predictions and validate the accuracy of how well it was predicted and tune any parameters that might be necessary, which in this case it was already very close because we've done collections in Brownwood and Hayes County in that area and at Smoky Mountain. So the next slide just shows these all coverages all by themselves, rather than show the 3 layers of mobile and then portable and then indoor. This just makes it a little bit easier just to get a picture of the mobile only coverage. And that 95% of the county and population are covered. And as well as the next one is mobile and portable. For 93% of the county is covered at portable. And then the next final one is just showing indoor only. And later I did print out some large format maps. It's got more detailed roads on it if you'd like to peruse those. Okay, so the next slide. Just highlighting that we are recommending our system, which is a trunked 700 megahertz PT5 simulcast, multicast system. Multicast, every site is assigned its own set of frequencies. They are not dependent on adjacent sites being functional for them to operate, as in simulcast, where every site is the same frequency and they all need to talk to each other directly. Our large modern footprint provides service for all public safety users in our territory without the need for conventional interfaces. So of course, if you're not on our system, then we do build a conventional interface for those users. The 700 megahertz spectrum was specifically designed and allocated for public safety by the FCC at a national level. And it has much less interference because of that. It was more well planned and came as a result of the transition to digital television, where that spectrum became cleared up. And our multicast sites are easier to deploy to expand coverage or capacity, whereas a simulcast system is more of a mesh and has to be upgraded altogether rather than a site at a time as needed. The next slides I'll just kind of gloss over because I know they're really getting into the weeds, but they're some quick comparisons of some.
We need to learn this.
That's fine, sir. Go ahead, ask questions, interrupt. Comparing VHF to 700, of course, VHF does have a larger footprint, but with that larger footprint, you don't gain extra capacity. It's a trade-off of coverage versus capacity. And the RF path is two-directional. So when you have a bigger footprint, those mobiles, portables, all the way at the edge have to come back to that tower site on it's called the talk-in path. Otherwise, your talk out limited. You know, radios will only be able to hear but not talk back. Again, highlighting that 700 megahertz is reserved for public safety use, and that it penetrates indoors better than VHF. And we've seen lately, in the last several years, more attention has been given to the indoor coverage. The new fire code, I don't know if that's been adopted here, but it's got some strict guidelines on indoor public safety radio usage. There are in-building BDAs, bidirectional amplifiers that can enhance that indoor coverage. You know, if you do choose to stick to fire codes for large facilities or stores. But we can also test and see where you're at after the sites are up. Any questions on this one? We can always come back to it, right? The next one, slide. Comparison of conventional and trunked, which I don't think there's much discussion of staying conventional, but the conventional system uses one channel or frequency per user group. There's no traffic management, so if the channel is tied up, somebody using it, the next person that needs it needs to wait till that current communication is done, and it's not an efficient use of the spectrum. Trunk systems, on the other hand, make use of a concept called a talk group, where a talk group is a grouping of users based on the operational criteria of the agencies or agencies on the system. So SO would be a talk group. You could have an SO East and an SO West talk group as well, and those users would be grouped for communications, and only the sites serving those talk groups at that time would use a channel for communications. It wouldn't tie up the whole rest of the system. If there's something happening in Hunt and all the users are on that Hunt site, only that site's channel is being used for those communications. The traffic controller efficiently makes use of the channels at that site and queues up the traffic as needed from the pool of frequencies that are available. Next slide. And then the biggest debate, simulcast versus multicast. They are both have their purposes and uses. And simulcast, all sites operate on the same frequencies. They can cover a large area with a small number of frequencies. So that's a benefit of simulcast, is if you don't have the spectrum needed, you can share the spectrum across a large area. But the trade-off is you have less capacity then, because you only have, say, 5 channels to use for the entire county. The site equipment and build out for simulcast is more expensive because you have to have these controllers at the site that determine when an incoming call from a portable comes in, it's heard by potentially several sites. Well, the controllers at the sites need to determine which radio path from that portable to send to the core. They also have to have very strong transport to each other for timing, because all sites are transmitting at the same time or an offset in time, so that the signal that receives the portable gets there at the same time. Multicast, on the other hand, allows for better capacity planning. It's less costly to deploy because it doesn't require that transport to all the other sites in the cluster. And a multicast site does not depend on the performance of any of its adjacent sites. But radios can still roam in and out of these multicast sites seamlessly. That does it for my component, unless there's questions.
The last part that you just explained about the interfacing, is that because it's digitized?
I'm sorry, what part of the interface?
You're encoding and decoding?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's why you get so many in one place. You're packing and unpacking this information.
Yeah, P25 is a digital system,
Yeah.
and phase 2, phase 1 is initially phase 1 was one talk path per frequency. Phase 2 uses a time division type of multiplexing where there's 2 time slots in a channel. The first half and the second half becomes you can get 2 talk groups, 2 talk paths on one frequency. So on a 5-channel multicast site like we were proposing, one channel is a control channel that does all the traffic control and channel assignments to calls coming in and out. And then the other 4 each has 2 time slots on. So now you have 8 talk paths on that site.
They don't all have to travel through the first one for control.
Just to get assigned the traffic channel.
So basically, they're all in there scrambled, and then it disassembles it and puts it back together.
Yeah.
So that's the way all the digital stuff. What about the VHS? Is it encoded and decoded? Is it straight analog?
I can't answer that one. I don't know there.
Does the sheriff know? This VHF stuff, is that analog the whole way? Or is it digitized at some point?
I don't know that.
I think
It's all digital.
I think it's
Well, right now.
analog, which makes it simple.
We're at
it's
digital.
It digitizes the VHF.
Yeah, the last upgrade y'all did, y'all switched from analog to digital. Back
That
in
was the
2000.
upgrade.
That was back in 2015.
So that broadened the capacity of the VHF stuff. So we did that once.
Okay, any questions for Brian?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm Alan Coonsey, work for LCRA, and kind of proud to be here. When I first started, my boss explained to me, he said, Alan, you know, we need to provide a quality service or we might as well get out of the business. And, you know, that was almost 50 years ago. I've been at LCRA 49 years, and proud to say that we still offer quality service, and that's the reason why we're here, is to expand upon that service and provide radio system for Kerr County. If you move to the next slide. So our commitment to Kerr County is, again, a service. We offer the 24/7 monitoring. We have staff there that's 24/7. You'll have a channel on your radio. You need to talk to somebody. You key up that channel. You'll get somebody there, real live person, no voicemail, no take calls and route and so forth like that. It's somebody there to take your call if you need help on the thing. We design and install and do everything turnkey, 100%. All LCRA people are our contractors that we work with. We take care of all the operation and maintenance of all the electronics, all the antenna systems, everything. I mean, once you put in our system here with our proposal here, you don't have to put out another nickel for example, lightning hits the tower, blows up the equipment, knocks out the antenna system. That's all on us. So again, no hidden fees with this. We're trying to be upfront with everything we have in here. So obsolete hardware, firmware updates is kind of like your cell phone. Every now and then you have to go in and do an update on the thing. Same thing here. If there's anything we have to do at our central office or out at the tower sites, we do that for you. We know it's coming. We plan ahead and let you know what all's going on. The configuration of all the dispatch consoles, procuring equipment, programming, repair, so forth. Out at the tower sites, we talked about that, and mentioned back in the winter storm Uri, our site, the Central Texas Electric Co-op, were on our system. It was basically the only thing that kept working. We gave them loaner radios. Our site stayed up the entire time. Never a single outage on that. So just kind of a point of how the resiliency and how our system works. So with our proposal, we're covering all the costs for the propane, of course the installation, all the electric power. So something else you don't have to worry about. You can focus on your police and sheriff duties. Configuration of all the radio personalities and talk groups. That's one of the things that Blanca would be getting with y'all on, to figure out exactly who needs to be on various talk group, prioritize those things and work with y'all to where you have, when you switch to a certain channel, you know who you're talking with. And that can be from county to county and so forth like that. The mobile radio installation, we take care of that. That's in the price we've given you in the mobile radios. The frequency licensing, I believe there's roughly 25 frequencies on this system. All that would be taken care of. Now you will end up owning those frequencies. They're under your name, but we just help do that for you, which is a considerable amount of work that's already been talked about. Coming up in 2024, I believe y'all are going to be in, this county is going to be in the center of the solar eclipse, and it's understandable there could be 150,000, 200,000 people that migrate here to see that eclipse. So with that, our system can handle that, but if you need additional loaner radios, that's something that we have that y'all, no additional charge to provide, because my guess is y'all may need some outside help from other entities as well, or maybe just the public in general. But that's going to be a big deal, and y'all need a system that can take care of that. We talked about the mobile trailer coming out here and doing the trial run on it the other day, and y'all got a chance to use that. It gave us a chance to verify our coverage, so those maps that you show up there will accurately depict the coverage you're going to get. And one of those things on those maps, you remember the pink area in there, and the information we got from the judge early on and the staff was that y'all wanted to have good solid indoor, on your hip portable coverage. So all that pink there, we specifically went back and forth with towers iteration after iteration to look at things that could cover the corridor from Kerrville to Comfort, Kerrville out toward Turtle Creek toward Bandera, also out to Hunt. So if you'll look carefully at those, you'll see indoor coverage at all those sites, which I think is something y'all need. I think the tendency now with law enforcement is we need to have more walkie-talkie coverage when we're out and about. Even up in the Wallet River watershed there, you'll see significant portable coverage there that you're not probably going to be in your car doing a rescue, you're going to be on foot. You need to have that portable coverage. And one of the other things about the system here that may not have been talked about, but y'all go from county to county. Y'all go to Gillespie County, you go to Kendall County. Say you're driving to Austin, prisoner exchange or that type of thing. You don't have to change anything on your radio. You can go county to county. You can be in Bay City and talk to somebody here in Kerr County just like you are if you're just in Kerr County. So very transparent, very easy to operate. Very few systems can offer that. So if you need to do a pursuit into Gillespie County, you don't have to change a button. Just keep going. One additional, I guess, kind of commitment to Kerr County is we offer you all the same commitment that we're doing to all these other counties. Hayes County, for example, is completely on our system, along with Texas State University, the city of San Marcos, all the VFWs, and so forth like that. So when we had a lot of the floods that emanated out west and ended up going down the Blanco River, our system was up and working. Not a blink on the system, and they were able to use it. So just a testament to that. If y'all remember on the coverage map too, there was a area in green that wasn't in our traditional, I guess you call it electric service area, Brown County. The Brown County was not an electric customer. They're in our watershed, but they went through a process like y'all are doing here, and they selected us. Again, they had no other exposure to us other than what we presented similar to this, and they went with our system as well. Same thing with Guadalupe County, who was on a different system, but they migrated over to our system. So a commitment to get the same commitment to Kerr County that we're doing to all these other counties. fact, there were several letters of recommendation from Hayes County, Brown County, and the city of Seguin talking about all the great customer service that we do. All right, so next slide, please. So, this is the part everybody's interested in, price. Excuse me.
Rich, just a real quick question. Can you speak to Kendall County, Gillespie County, and Bandera County? Are they on your system?
Kendall County's on our system, Gillespie County's on our system. In fact, that's where they're putting, well, it's in plan and process for approval of a meeting similar to this later this month over at Tierra Linda, which I believe y'all support this county as well. So there will be a site right there on the West Central South Wireless Tower in Tierra Linda. Excuse me, Bandera, we don't have anything yet, but the site that's down at Mason Creek will provide y'all coverage all the way, for the most part, all the way to the city of Bandera, because it's going down that highway, which I understand y'all do traverse quite a bit, so again, seamless coverage,
And
pretty
Mason
much.
Creek is on the other side of the Bandera Pass.
Yeah.
That's in county.
Which is another reason why we picked that site. I believe y'all do the work out of the dispatch, the Kendall County Comfort Group that handles Elm Pass, which is in Kerr County. So we needed something on the other side of Bandera Pass and to get into that area as well. So that's getting the reason why that area is now covered. You know, more about there. So the kind of a commercial summary on the thing here, 700 megahertz system. It's roughly what our proposal, $4.5 million for the system, which includes, in fact, let me kind of over, you saw on the map there that, and we've talked about here that we're providing 6 sites here, well, you're actually getting benefit of 9 sites.
Right.
So 3 of those sites are there, and we had talked earlier, Sheriff and so forth, at meetings here that need to be an upgrade to that current comfort site. Well, we regurgitated our number, so that site's not going to be something you'll have to pay for. So you're getting 3 sites basically for free that Gillespie County's putting in, the one in Smoky the city has, and the tower lease on that one that we talked about is also going away. So there won't be a tower lease at Mason Creek and at Smoky and also at Comfort, and you're getting the use of the site there in Gillespie County. So that's part of the discussion we had here, and took the feedback and went back and did some talking amongst ourselves to say, here it makes sense.
Go over that one more time to make sure we all have it straight. Which ones are the ones that we are,
Gonna get use of?
yes,
Okay, the Comfort site,
Comfort?
Smoky site, which the city of Kerrville is on, and currently on now, y'all are on as well. And then also the new site at Tierra Linda.
Yeah.
So those 3. So the other sites, which incidentally, tower leases are a common thing. You say, well, why do I want to pay for a tower lease? Well, you probably don't want to have to own and operate and maintain a tower, a 200, 300 foot tower, have to climb it, replace the waveguide on it, replace antennas and stuff like that. So it's very common for even LCRA. We've got probably in our 900 system and so forth, probably in excess of 150 to 200 towers, large number of towers. We don't own those either. Very few entities actually own their own towers because of all those other issues to deal with. Same way with lease lines. So all those things are common things that you don't necessarily need to own.
So is this just a pass through? If you don't own the towers, we pay you for you to pay them?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
No,
Sheriff,
so
what are we paying now for tower leases?
There's about a year. The tower leases are, for our towers is 55,000.
Annually?
Yes.
Okay.
So in other words, y'all are already paying tower leases, and there'll be some tower leases here, but then there's going to be some trade-off for leases that you won't have to pay anymore that you're currently using, and we had included in there that we'd be removing equipment as well as part of the proposal. So if you add all the pluses and minuses up, I think you'll find that your operating costs would go down if you don't, including the propane, the tower lease swap out, and this type of thing here, plus the leases that we're not going to be charging you for that You
So
could
what
be
you're
paying.
proposing is over twice what we're paying now. If I'm hearing what you're saying right, Chris. You said 55,000 annually,
That's the
and
sheriff's
this is
department's budget.
$10,000 a month?
The electricity's not included, the insurance, that's coming out of another county budget.
Well, what figure did you give me then?
The sheriff's department, what we paid for
Is
our,
that
just
not
the
a tower?
towers. Just the towers. Just the
That's
towers.
just the tower
Yeah.
leases.
Then we have a maintenance contract with Motorola that's 50.
So it's comparable. The
Yeah,
maintenance
so-
contract is comparable to the one proposed here?
So, yeah, we're paying what, 111, 110? That's included with a maintenance contract with Motorola.
You're giving me annual numbers instead of monthly numbers?
Yes,
correct?
yes. It's
So this is comparable monthly.
Yeah.
He's saying here $5,600 a month and change. So is that about what we're paying now
Where's our,
for maintenance or support?
we can do a pulse.
Yeah, Harley, I know what you're trying to get at. Yeah, it's comparable when we add up the leases and the maintenance agreements, yes, sir.
Because I don't want to compare apples and oranges if one of them is straight up lease and then we have other expenses on top of it versus,
What we've learned is somebody's paying the light bill. Somebody's paying the
Right.
insurance for the towers. So,
Right.
you know, only thing I can speak for, this is what we're paying roughly 5,000 a year per tower. Is that right? No, it's more
You
than
said
that.
5,000
Sorry,
a month
10,000,
for the-
about 10,000.
for the support. I know you can just get your lease space and you don't have anything else. You pay your own electric and so on. I mean, I deal with towers, I know how that works. But I'm just asking if it's comparable. Because it looks like the lease space is over twice what we're paying now. If you add just those, if you compare just those two. So are we talking about the same thing or not?
In my opinion, Commissioner, it's comparable, and the numbers you show here for the $2,000 a month lease, that's a max number. Once if we had a contract, start dealing with the entities and stuff like that, we'll find out what the real price is. And
Well, that's about standard rate,
yeah,
as far as I know. So
right. In some
that part of
cases,
it sounds okay, but I just want to make sure we don't have a sweetheart deal we're walking away from.
well, for example, your lease at Granada, okay, it's not going to be $2,000 a month because you're taking equipment down, you only have a radio antenna. So this is an average price. If you average them all out, and I did my own internal spreadsheet of the costs and even shared that with Chris as well. It's comparable. In fact, we think we'll even save you a little bit of money because you'll be taking equipment down. You're paying for leases, say at your Legion Hill Tower, that don't even have a radio transmitter for your officers to use. It's just a pass-through communication link. You're paying a lot on that. Same thing with Smoky, you're paying on that, so that will go away. So if you include what we're adding here for more sites, but take away some you're not having to pay for, it pretty well averages out, and in my opinion, you're gonna end up saving some money.
There's also VFD towers that somebody's paying for leases on.
Yeah, right.
In fact, I think if you look at the map of the thing, I think y'all are paying on 5 or 6 sites now just from the county, and then you have all the VFWs on separate sites. So you're talking roughly 10 to 11 towers in the county for various departments, just in the VFDs and the county. Now, there may be other entities we haven't even figured out yet. that are
Are you
out
saying
there.
those would be eliminated
Yes,
with this proposal?
right,
This is countywide.
countywide. So one other thing,
Countywide, better coverage.
But there's a difference in having to have a little jump over a hill or having coverage over that hill. And also, I know quite well that engineering maps as proposed and tested don't always work in the real world. I've run up against that. It costs you a lot more money later on. So I'm just trying to get it all straight here. When you say we can eliminate this tower over here because we have this tower over here, something else may suffer. We've all seen that happen here. Anybody that has a cell phone in Kerr County knows this. So we're really basically, folks, talking about the same thing as your cell phone coverage. The height of the tower, where it's placed, and whether or not you have coverage inside a building, outside a building, and what they tell you when they have something to sell you versus what you get when you get it home two different things. I'm dealing with it right now myself, so I'm just wanting to make sure that we're talking about apples to apples, not apples to oranges. It does make a lot of difference. And if you're gonna eliminate something and wish to heck you had it back, I don't want us to get in that position.
So the current system you basically have 4 sites covered in the county, and with our system, you're essentially gonna have 9 sites covering the system. So you're gonna have towers closer to buildings and penetration, and building penetration is important. We ran a test over in San Saba County in their jail, and they indicated they could never get a portable coverage in the jail to talk to anybody. We set up our mobile trailer on their tower there, and they went inside and had complete coverage. So the 700 megahertz system penetrates buildings quite well, and which I think is important with your box stores and convenience stores and other buildings like that. So again, the reason why we focused on the corridor from here to Comfort, out toward Turtle Creek, Bandera, and out toward Hunt, to give you all that's where your growth is and all your buildings and stuff like that, and so forth. Let's see here.
Before we move on, Chris, I want to direct this at you. The radios and stuff, does that cover our VFDs? Is that what numbers y'all gave them and stuff?
That will cover the officers at the VFD.
The numbers that Brian gave?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not everybody.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
And so people understand the question he's asking, because we've been going to some of these meetings. At the VFDs, CARFA, which is the area volunteer fire department group, has determined the number of radios that they need.
Minimum number.
Minimum number. And this is not replacing every single radio at this point. This is replacing the ones that will be in the vehicles and the officers will have command staff.
Right. Okay, I just want to make sure.
What's the cost of an individual radio, portable?
For what question?
The cost of the radio?
Of the portable radio?
There's 2 models. There's the 8500 and there's the 9000.
Just off the top of my head, they're about $7,000 to $8,000 each. And it just depends if it's portable or mobile. Mobiles are usually a little bit more expensive.
Okay.
So again, just a quick recap though, because I know the question always came up, the question was asked, are y'all covering the cost of the city of Kerrville and the Smoky Tower site? And the answer to that is yes. Y'all are still gonna have equipment on that site. We're gonna cover that, so you won't have a bill coming from the Smoky site. You won't have one coming from the Mason Creek site. So you won't have, which you'll get that coverage over in the Bandera Pass. So we did take your question and feedback into consideration and made some changes on that along with the comfort, the equipment upgrade. So those 3 sites there you're going to get access to that you don't have to pay a nickel on.
So it's really 4. I've got here. Comfort, Smoky Mountain, Tierra Linda when it's completed.
Well, that's true.
And Mason Creek.
Exactly.
So of the 9, 4 of them you provided.
So you'll have 5 tower leases and then access to the 4 as well. So that's how you get your 9. See the next slide, please.
Just a question.
Okay.
Well, who pays for like Mason Creek? The Bandera is not on the system. Who's paying for that? Right?
We are.
They're absorbing it?
Yeah. We have equipment there already, and we have a substation site there, so that's part of the benefit. Even like Granada, not going to have to pay a lease line cost there, because we have fiber optics there. We're even looking at the Hunt side of trying to put fiber optics in there out of the Hunt substation. So that's how we're able to leverage what we already have in place. Not having to pay anything in comfort, we already have stuff there. Even the upgrade, Tierra Linda, Smoky, and the Mason Creek side as well. So we're trying to leverage the things we already have in place to hold your costs down and give you all a better benefit than otherwise. So the next steps then would be to review the interlocal agreement, which we have a number of counties, and which is something that Judge and Commissioner and your legal team could review. That perhaps a lot of the counties are using that interlocal agreement since we're already state agencies and governmental entities to where we can do business together without necessarily having to go through that formal procurement process. But that's something y'all would have to decide on your own. I'm just telling you what other counties have done to avoid all that
Information back
process.
to our county attorney and share the feedback we got.
Okay.
So,
Anyway, something to check on. Anyway, we have an interlocal agreement. If you decide to do business with us, then we would want to execute that as well. Finalize the scope and pricing. I don't see any changes here. You know, in the last several iterations we've had with your staff, there were a lot of iterative processes. We've met many times, and each time I think we've come back with a little bit better product and clarified things. So it's been great to work with y'all on that. Need, approve the funding. You mentioned you need to go get approval using that ARPA funding. So obviously everything has to wait on that. But assuming that gets passed, then we would sign an agreement and eventually kick off the project sometime in 2023. Kind of timing to be determined. But again, in summary, we think we offer Kerr County resiliency, something that's going to work, just like the co-op, Central Texas Electric Co-op, and the other surrounding counties we had with floods and stuff. It worked when it needed to. When all the lines went down, and we had a lot of power lines go down, cell phones were overwhelmed, nobody could talk, but our radio system worked. We talked about the propane generators. We've got large tanks there. We keep them full. We keep them monitored. You don't have to order the propane, take it out there. That's just part of the service. We want y'all to focus on what y'all do best and let us focus on the communication system. The interoperability, and the question came up there about, ability to talk to other counties. Now, the radios you're getting are dual band radios, so that you go to another county and they're on VHF, that radio is already VHF. You just switch a button, you know what frequency they're on, you can talk in those counties. So you can talk to DTS, you can go to your neighboring counties that have VHF, just like you do now. So none of that is changing. I want to make it clear, you're going to end up with even better performance because you're going to have your own noise resilient system here to do your own work and all your own talk groups. But yet when you want to travel to Austin, you're going to have coverage on the 700 system through all the other systems. You're going to use the Gillespie County system. You're going to use the Llano County system. You're going to use the Travis County system. If you go to San Antonio, you can go to Bexar County and talk. You don't have to do anything, so you can talk all the way seamlessly. Now, if you want to talk to other agencies, that'll be set up, as we talked about here, with determining your talk groups and who you want to talk to. But you're going to have more ability to talk. So that slide that showed that y'all were level 3, you're going to have level 5. So it's going to be better. And I want to emphasize that it's going to be better. Again, we feel like other counties, we've demonstrated our deep commitment to service, and we want to expand that to y'all. So contact any of those other counties. I believe Chris has already reached out to Gillespie County, and I don't know what they said. Well, I kind of know what they say because they like our system. They probably said good things about it. And I think that's a testament when you go to your peers at other counties. They're going to say, hey, it worked good. In fact, you really ought to get on that system. Commissioner was pointing out when you're gone that the radios y'all are getting are a dual band radio. And you were talking about going to other counties. So if you need to go to Uvalde County, Edwards County, and they're on VHF, all you got to do is switch their button, you can talk. So you're going to end up with a system that has more capability than what you have now. You're not going to lose anything, you're going to gain. So I want to make that point clear. Again, our system, our proposal, we're offering turnkey, no surprises, no hidden fees. Early on we talked about, and which was kind of a surprise to you guys, said, hey, we don't want to, do these tower leases. Well, tower leases are part of the business, and when we said no, not another nickel, we were talking about the system maintenance. Everybody's got to pay tower leases, communication lines, and stuff like that. But we're going to maintain that stuff and work on it. You're not going to have to go track down AT&T or a microwave guy. We take care of all that stuff. You own it, and you're responsible for it, but that's part of our fee package that you're paying for.
Good, Alan, I just interrupt.
Okay.
Explain the the recurring fee for the individual devices for $20 a month, but we haven't talked about that.
Right, and that was that, number on the, 650 a month. You take all the radios, I think 200 and something times 20, that's where you get that number along with the 4 consoles you got. So that $20 a month covers all this type of stuff, us climbing the tower, fixing stuff, replacing blown equipment, Blanca coming out here and picking up radios and bringing them in to have service, servicing the propane tanks, electric power. I guess the list goes on and on and on, but the 24/7 monitoring, all the computer electronics that are somewhere else, y'all's ability to go from county to county and not pay a tax, so to speak, if you went through a different county. Like sometimes you go on a cell phone, you go to down to the border, you might get a fee from AT&T that said, well, you were in Mexico. You know, you're on this system here that covers that, there's no additional fees.
So we've got 255 units,
Okay.
and that's $20 a month.
Right. And then the consoles, you have 4 consoles and they're $100 a month. We did focus on the 5-year warranty of the radios and so forth like that, so I want to make sure you're aware of that. Again, we stand behind it all, it's 24/7, it's reliable. I mean, talk to your neighboring counties, they all like it. It's a change, you know, y'all are used to what you got now, and you can look at those maps and say, well, golly, I see a little white spot out there. Well, you know, just like your cell phones, you can't cover everything, you couldn't afford it. So we've tried to come up with sites that are practical. Yeah.
We know Kerr County.
Yeah. So we think we can cover 95% of the county or greater, give you the portable coverage down your growth corridors where you have a lot of boots on the ground, if you will, down the Wallet River as well. I think all those important things. So with that, I thank you for your time and desire to learn and understand that it is a different system, but it's a great system. Any other questions in for anybody?
Yes, I do. Are y'all using the 5G towers? Is that what y'all are using?
In some cases not. Like the West Central Wireless Tower at Hunt and Tierra Linda, they use that for their cell phones as well, yes.
Okay, have any scientific studies been done concerning 5G and its health risks to humans and animals and stuff? I know there have not been any in the United States.
I don't know.
Have y'all looked into that at all?
No, I haven't any. I don't know if anybody else has or not. But,
Okay. And these ARPA funds are, I mean, they want to use the ARPA funds for this? And that's
up to the
COVID-related, right?
county. We're indifferent how we pay, so to speak.
Oh, I know, as long as you have money, as long as it's free money, it's tied to executive orders, right? The ARPA funds are, so will be required to abide by all those obligations and laws of executive orders.
Okay, that I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe.
All right, well, that's a big concern, because that puts us under FEMA control too. So, just so y'all know.
I'm not related how much in taxes the LCRA pays annually to Kerr County.
Steve, you probably know that now.
Thanks, Mike.
I do see you.
As a banker, I'm most concerned about the money.
You got it right up here?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to kick us off, so it would be my privilege to wrap us up. And the whole goal of
Actually, we'll touch base on that in a minute. Thank you for
the goal of the workshop today,
You got our attention now.
okay, thank you very much, is to remind you that we're here to support you. And not just on this one project, because commissioners and judges, I know you know this, LCRA has been invested in this county for a long time. In fact, if we went down here to the appraisal office and look back on the records, every year we're invested in the county, just like you other property owners are too. Last year, 2021, LCRA office in Austin sent $408,000 in property tax payments on the assets that we have in Kerr County. Those didn't just occur recently. We've been building transmission lines and substations in your county for years. And we're going to continue. Sheriff, whether you go with our telecommunications package or not, this is going to continue because we're invested. So part of understanding a package that you're buying is important, but understanding the people who are bringing it to you is important too. I believe that. I hope you do too. You know who we are because we've got a history with you and we've got a future with you, whether you do this or not. The director mentioned LCRA grants. That comes from the fact that LCRA is a not-for-profit agency, and when we do have what we don't call it profits, we call them revenues in excess of cost. And so, just like you as a county government, you break even, you hope you do, we do too. And grants come out to applicants in Kerr County all over this, in my territory, and to the tune of about $1.5 million per year, and have been doing that. And we can't control who applies, but the applicants in Kerr County over the last 20 years have received the funding for $900,000, roughly $900,000 in grants for community projects. That's going to continue too, whether or not you do this telecom package with us. We hope you do, but like I say, we're here for the long pull, and I hope that gives you confidence that this telecommunication package that we bring to you is the same way. With that, Judge, I'll turn it back. Alan?
Just I got a couple more slides here that are in your packet, and really no need to go over those here, but it's just more informational information that kind of showed that we did the drive-through testing and validated our model. I think that's
I'll go to the
important.
appendix, I saw it.
I'm sorry?
I saw the appendix.
Okay. So really nothing else to do there. So just two parting comments. As Steve said, we're local. We're going to stay local. 9 is better than 4. So 9 sites, 3 of which you're getting the benefit of, 6 new sites, a total of 9. And we've looked the best we can to provide y'all the coverage that y'all have asked for in our meetings. So with that, any other questions? Eric, do you have anything to add, or Wanda? Brian? Jason, guys? Oh, by the way, Jason, Thielepat, it's hard to, if you try to read it and say it, you never get Thielepat out of it, but it is Thielepat. He's one of our technicians that would be covering the area here and doing helping with installs, maintenance, all sorts of things related to the system, so we're glad he's here now.
Thank you very much. Just know that, as Steve knows, we're friends coming into this, we're friends going out no matter what we're doing. We're all in this together. So, Mike, is there anything you wanted to share with us?
No.
For those of y'all who don't know, here's Mike Allen. He's our local representative that sits on the LCRA board. With that, we're going to take a break. I'll come back in 10 minutes, and then we've got a little bit of business that we're going to do for the sheriff's office and jail. come back to order. Before we move on to the action item, is there any other discussion on the communication system presentation that we heard? This item? Okay. Then let's move on to item 1.1 on the consideration agenda, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve an increase in the inmate per diem rate for out-of-county detention services to $65 per man day, subject to the interlocal agreement. This rate covers one inmate per day. A portion of any day will count as a man day under the agreement.
Yeah, Judge and Commissioners, what I'm looking at for y'all's approval to raise our rate, right now it's $50 to $65. Obviously, we have to run the jail like a business. As y'all know, my food cost is double, a lot of it, the healthcare is increased. So, I think it's a time to raise it to $65. And what I thought was fair, I've talked to Commissioner Letts about this a lot, is we always getting people contact us looking for housing. So I say effective, y'all approve this immediately, we'll raise them. But the current ones, what I thought was fair with budget season coming up, is that we not raise that until their new budget. I'd like to give these fellow sheriffs enough time to be able to prepare for this. And, give them plenty of notice that way on their next budget, they can either opt in or find somewhere else, but I think, the going rate's going up. That was my plan, not raise it until their next budget, but anybody new from here out, let them know coming in, this is the rate, or they can go somewhere else.
So all of our agreements that we have with all the other counties.
Yes.
We'll renew those effective October 1 with the new fiscal year.
Yes, sir.
And then anyone in the meantime that comes in that's new, we'll go ahead and sign them up for $65.
Yes, sir, I thought that was fair.
How are we doing competitively?
And out of county only, obviously, our local. This is only out of county, but like I said, our expenses, my food's doubled, healthcare's doubled. I mean, not doubled, but it's increased, so I think it's only fair this time.
Who else is housing inmates and what are they charging in the area?
Oh, man, other ones I'd have to check. You know what they're starting, I don't know anybody housing close to us.
They don't come to us.
Yeah, we're at the advantage.
I'm just kind of curious as to how, are we competitive with these rates?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. 50's been a long time. People haven't went up yet. It was recommended 75, but I think 65 is fair for right now.
Sure. Are contracts all expire or run through the fiscal year, or do they run?
They're ongoing. You have to give 60 days notice. That's what, when we talk, you have to give, I could raise it to 60 days, but I think I'd like to get them to the next budget. But it's not like a year at a time or two. It's just one party. If they want to depart, you have to give me 60 days, or I have to give them 60 days.
So you send the 60-day notice out now to be effective October 1.
Pending y'all's approval.
So, yeah. And that way
For
we're
the
plenty
current
of time.
clientele.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like I said, when they're coming up, we have, I don't remember, it was 10 or 11. Only one county said they didn't want to stay in, but they don't even put anybody in, and never have since I've been here. Everybody's in agreement. They know the cost of business is going up.
I'm kind of curious with the new jails that have gone in, especially in Burning and over in Hondo. We're still getting a lot of inmates from those counties.
Those are my two biggest counties, Kendall and Medina. Yes, sir.
Well, Kendall didn't build a big enough jail, did they?
It was 99.
Yeah,
it was 99. My understanding is once you get to 100, you have to have the 24-hour medical care. But my understanding, Al said, when he opened it up, it was full on day one. He's coming back over here. It has to be very frustrating.
They did something in Hondo. They lost a bond issue, came back to the smaller jail in order to get the patents. And they're probably our biggest one.
Oh yeah, they are. But like I said, we continue to get people looking for housing. I can't believe they're driving the distance, but we just out of capacity.
It's like having a brand new tiny home.
Right.
Moving next to family.
Place to put stuff.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve raising the per diem rate per man day to $65. Is there any other discussion?
And it's effective.
Effective October 1.
Yes, sir. And now, but anybody new, we can start.
Right.
So how does that need to be worded differently?
I just say any new counties or new entities outside of Kerr County, their rates would be at $65 now. All existing contracts will be raised effective October 1.
And they would be new contractors.
Yes.
And you can authorize, you can go ahead and send the 60-day letter out now, to be effective October 1.
We'll do it.
Okay. We're all in agreement on that? Okay. Those in favor?
Need a second,
No, we got a second.
We got 2 seconds.
Oh.
Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Anything else before the court this morning? We'll reconvene at 1 o'clock. Stand adjourned. We're recessed.